Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with the quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponents. Shout out to everybody who has been subscribing to our Patreon. In 2025, we have made a big push at trying to grow the pod and give you even better quality content, media. That's the word I prefer. I'm trying to phase out the word content, completely melt it out of my brain. So $6 a month. Just don't go to a coffee shop once a day, or don't get that snack that you were craving or things like that, and it will more than make up for your money's worth. Honestly, we have dropped 4 episodes this week, just this week, and we will keep this energy going, supporting City men and women. Check our episode descriptions for the link to our Patreon. I'm super excited for today. We fresh after watching Mary Fowler steal victory. Like, that was a smash and grab, especially because it was on the road. That was very much a smash and grab. Scored. They got to the center circle, let's kick the ball off, and the ref was just like, nope, no more. Get out of here. City have a long drive ahead of them. 30-minute delay. Couldn't stop them. And now we look forward to a match against Leicester City, who I have some people, shout out to the 12, our WSL podcast in our network. I believe it's Treb. He is a big fan of Leicester City. They are hopeful for Leicester City. Ruby Mace left towards them, so there's a little soft spot in my heart for Leicester City, and I'm very excited to learn more about this club. Thanks to our guest, Shady Gang. Please give it up for Lynn of the Foxes Trust. How are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm good, thanks. I thought we were going to extra time and penalties. I thought we'd be doing this kind of podcast at about midnight my time, but thankfully that last goal just got us over the line before 10 p.m. tonight. So
Yeah.
delighted I've been able to catch up with you when you're in a good mood because you've just won.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to record this after like on Sunday. We actually, because we cover City men and women, we normally record on Sundays, and after that I was just like, guys, we can't, because we're just gonna be so mad. And I know that some people love that type of content, but that's not really our energy. We very much are try to be like solutions based and give what we actually saw. And sometimes you need time to like ruminate, let those thoughts marinate and the anger to settle. Oh man. Well, first, before we find out about how you fell in love with the game and everything, you want to tell us a little bit about what Fox's Trust is?
Yeah, so Foxes Trust is the official supporters trust at Leicester City. So 20 years ago, we saw kind of a push for supporters to be more involved in the running of their clubs here in the UK. And people started setting up trusts, all supported by Football Supporters Association, to try and get some ownership of their local clubs, to get people on the board, so fans have a representative voice on boards, etc. As we were doing that, I was one of the founder members of the trust at Leicester. As we were doing that, Leicester went into administration. It was when it all went horribly wrong 20 years ago. And we were nearly bust. And we were about 24 hours from going out of business. It was pretty dire at that point. So the trust really gathered momentum quite quickly. We called an initial meeting. 600 people turned up. That was crazy. Filled a grand hall at the King Power Stadium. Everybody joined up, stuck their money in the pot, and we raised £150,000, which helped us form the consortium with Gary Lineker to help buy the club out of administration. And the trust actually had somebody on the board for quite a few years. Unfortunately, we then had to sell up to Milan Mandrić. We won't talk about that period of our history. I'm bitter still. So we no longer have shares in the club and we're no longer on the board. Thankfully, Milan had the good sense to sell to our wonderful Thai owners, obviously Vishai. The rest was history. He had a 5-year plan to kind of get us up there, and we won the Premier League within 3 years. So it was all going swimmingly well. Everything was kind of on track. We're starting to be an established Premier team. We're investing. We've got the new training ground. The women's team are professionalised. They're now full-time players under the umbrella of the club. Fantastic. And then it's gone horribly wrong in the last 3 years. We got relegated. And things are hard at the moment. Things are really toxic at the club. People are very angry, very frustrated that we could fall down from those dizzy heights of Champions League football, which is a dream come true, to probably getting relegated for the second time in 3 seasons. So, Leicester City, it's never dull. But the women has been a pleasant respite from some of it, I must say. So I'm a season ticket holder at both the men's and the women's, and I represent our supporters trust, the Foxes Trust, on the women's network with the Football Association, etc.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and like I was saying before, always been a big supporter of Leicester City, or at least just have never had a reason to dislike the fan base. Great group of people, wonderful story. And again, we got Mahrez from you. You took a player from us. I feel like it's a great relationship, and I would like there are like Newcastle slowly starting to make their way up. There are the teams that we see a little bit more in the Premier League and the Championship that are starting to match, I guess, the intensity that they give towards the men's team, and they're seeing positive results. And I just hope that continues, because all of that, no matter what division the team is in, that's what's going to help the game and always going to help it grow. So yeah, I'm here for it. Well, let's start here. I'm sure you were just born this way, but how did you fall in love with football and become a Leicester City fan?
Okay, so I'm not actually from Leicester originally. Okay. Anybody that watches this from England, we're going, that's not a Leicester accent. I'm actually from York, the mighty York City. God bless them. Down in the National League, not even in the league anymore, but currently second in the league and looking to get promoted back up there. So I grew up on the terraces of York City, a quid to get in, junior red, and absolutely loved my Saturday afternoons with all my mates on the terraces when kids could go, on their own and not have to be with a parent all the time and all that nonsense. Fell in love with the FA Cup big time. We beat Arsenal when we were in the 4th division with a last-minute penalty, and all hell broke loose. And the next game we got Liverpool in the next round as well. And just that magic of the FA Cup when you're one of those lower division teams, is amazing. We drew against Liverpool. We took them to a replay and then got absolutely trounced 7-0 up at Anfield. But yeah, kind of reached the dizzy heights of the 3rd division when I was a child. And really fell in love with football. My dad was a football coach, Sunday League, York City, etc. So when I moved to Leicester, when I was a student and I came down to Leicester, obviously I was going to pop along, have a nosy, see what Leicester City was like. And there's just something about the club. I just fell in love with it instantly. It's, a wonderful... Normally, we won't talk about current situation, but normally a wonderful family club. It's a small club. It's family based, and they've always really looked after the community at Leicester. It does more than just be a football club, and we saw that when Vichai took us to win the league. And the outpouring of grief when he went because of what he'd done for the city, and we all came together. So it's got that real close-knit feel. And they're exciting because you do get the highs and the lows. And you get the highest of the highs. Who would ever have thought we'd won the Premiership? Well, I did, because I put money on us. And I
did you? I bet.
I won £10,000.
Oh, wow. I mean, how much was the bet? Like, how much did you originally
put in? When I put it on, it wasn't the 5,000 to 1. Mine was 2,500 to 1 when I put it on.
That's still great odds.
It was just watching the team. It was like watching Brazil. They were incredible. and the team spirit and the passion and everything was
Yes.
just that perfect storm at the right time, and you could see this magic happening in front of you. So you do get the highs, Champions League football, fantastic, loved going to Copenhagen. And then you get the lowest of the lows. You get relegated to League One and you're at Exeter on a Tuesday night in the rain, and oh God, it's miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah, that
But you
was
go because you're a loyal supporter.
yes. I mean, one of the things I loved uh, that just reminded me, like when Pep first came to City and the words were going around and people were just like, I don't know if that tiki-taka football is going to work. Like, can Pep do it on a rainy night in Stoke City? Like that was like always the joke. And so
Yeah.
like every now and then we still will be like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, but can he do
absolutely.
it on a rainy day in Stoke City? And it's
Yeah, so we're kind of used to the ups and downs, over the last sort of 30 years whilst I've been living in Leicester, seen the highs, I've seen the lows, we're used to it. We've been promoted as many times as we've been relegated. And it's Leicester. We're up and down. We're a bit of a yo-yo club. We kind of hoped we'd establish ourselves in the Premiership. It is so hard to stay there when you're a small club, when you haven't got the funds to compete with the big six. When you've only got a stadium that holds 32,000 people, and you before we won the Premier League, you weren't a massive name known around the world, shifting millions of shirts and everything. It is incredibly hard to get established and stay up there fighting, against Chelsea selling hotels to stay within their PSR budget. How are your 115 charges going?
fine, no big deal.
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah, I mean, they spent plenty in the winter transfer window, so yeah.
Yeah, we spent 3 million. Wow.
Yeah, the
Looking
price
good.
difference, yeah, and the money that's spent, yeah, just even when you go down one division, it's
Yeah,
significant. Yeah.
it's crazy stuff. And once you go down, if you don't bounce straight back up, you can get stuck down there for quite a
Yes.
while if you're not careful.
Yes. Uh, well, I mean, it sounds like what you love most about the club, the best quality of the club, is just the the how the fan base, how they just seem like a great group of people, and obviously you fell in love with the team very quickly, and I assume it was because of the fan base.
Yeah. Leicester's really friendly, really down to earth. What you see is what you get. So they're quite like Yorkshire people in that respect. I was lucky that I came in a time when we went on that wonderful run under Martin O'Neill, and we were literally going to Wembley every year. We might as well just have booked our car parking space at Wembley because we were just there every year. We got used to it, had our own seats in Wembley.
Love it.
It was lovely. It really was, and you build those memories, don't you, with people, and you bond over it, whether it's going to Wembley 9 times on the trot, or whether it's all holding your placards up trying to get the chairman to resign. So yeah, we've had some interesting times at Leicester. It's never dull, for sure.
And yeah, let's talk. Oops, hold on, I messed up. There we go. Let's talk a little bit about your manager history with Leicester Women, which it's very interesting looking at it because it basically had a long history of just bouncing back and forth between managers. Because you had like from at 2018 to 2021, you had Morgan, then Bedford hopped in for a year, went back to Morgan, then back to Bedford for a couple years, and then Kirk, and then
Yep.
Bedford, and then
Yep.
Kirk for a bit, and now you have Mikel.
Yeah, you really don't want to know. I've got to be careful what I say here, because the lawyers are watching. But we managed to get a manager who thought it'd be a really good idea to have a relationship with a woman player, a male manager with a woman
I
player.
forgot about
That
that.
was pretty shocking,
Yes.
So eventually he bumbles off, and then another one does it. Another one does it. So Kirk was the second one that had done it. And I lost it at that point. I mean, it was bad enough one to do it, but for another one to do it was staggering. How stupid are these people? And how can they do that to our club? We were really angry about that. We were doing really well under Willie Kirk. He was a good manager. And we went on an FA Cup run. We got to the semi-final of the FA Cup. He was really turning the team round. It looked like we were absolutely safe from relegation that season. And then he goes and does that, and I was raging. It's a good job I didn't see him in the street, I tell you. And it just collapsed our season.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly think we'd have got to the FA Cup final if he'd have still been there, but then it just all fizzled out and went a bit horribly wrong. So yeah, not forgiving him on that one.
Right.
So we've now got Amandine Mikel. So we saw the rumours start in the summer that she was a name in the hat, and everybody was Googling and going, oh, okay, who's she? Where's she from? Done really well in France, you know, really took a team from lower leagues up the chain and won their league. So looked like really good pedigree from what you can see, but you never can tell, can you? Because you don't know how their league compares with the quality of the WSL.
That's
And
fair.
is it going to be a lot harder over here? So she came in. She was very keen to do lots of press and PR and meet the fans really quickly.
Okay,
She's
that's good.
really good at that sort of stuff. So we did loads of events with her. And I just loved her instantly. She's funny, she's smart, she's witty. And she was saying some really good stuff that we wanted to hear about attacking football. You know, she was like, I absolutely will get my defence solid. We are not letting goals in. But then I want attacking football. None of this passing around, none of this passing backwards. We're going to go for it. And that was really quite exciting for us for the women's football, I think. She was saying the stuff that we all wanted to hear, and she started doing that. We're seeing that pay off now as she's really getting the players into her style of attack.